Hey guys, Max here. Now I'm actually excited about this video and I'm actually interested how this video is gonna turn out. This video is unscripted as most of my videos are, and why I'm so curious about this video because I absolutely enjoy both of these devices. Now this video is about Apple Vision Pro and Quest 3. Both are amazing products. Just to start off, they both are amazing. But they're also great at doing their own thing. Even though Apple refers to Apple Vision Pro as spatial computing, to me it VR AR, same as Quest 3. But I also feel like Meta, Facebook, kind of cornered their Quest devices into the gaming corner when it is capable of doing a lot more than just games. Like, I haven't even played a single game on Quest 3 because that's not what I'm interested in. But the VR, AR aspect of it, it's great. So let's talk about the big elephant in the room, pricing. Both of them are 512 gigabytes, and I paid close to $4,100 for Apple Vision Pro. And about $708 including taxes for both. So $708 for Quest 3. Both are 512 gigabytes. So there's definitely a big difference in pricing. That's pretty much almost $3,400 difference. At the same time, Apple Vision Pro can only be bought through Apple at this point. And to me, it was a little bit questionable because when I was buying Apple Vision Pro, they were pushing Apple Care pretty hard. They were giving me pricing, how much it would be, like how much it would cost to fix things without Apple Care, how much it would cost with Apple Care. One way or the other, it's not going to be a cheap addition because Apple Care, it was close to $500. Plus, if anything needs to be fixed, there's also a cost. It's not as high as it is without Apple Care, but it's still not cheap. So one thing to me was like, are there issues already that I'm not aware of? Why they're saying that I need, like it would be a smartest thing for me to get. And the things that they were mentioning that how much it would cost to fix, it was definitely a questionable thing to me. But I ended up not getting Apple Care because the price of the device is so high. And I went into Apple when I pre-ordered it, like I kind of felt that I was gonna do everything possible to find an excuse on how to return Apple Vision Pro because of the price. But honestly, even as pushing it as far as getting Quest 3 after getting Apple Vision Pro, which was another thing to push me into not liking Apple Vision Pro, I still wanted to keep both because both of them excel in their own way until I started having issues with Apple Vision Pro. I do have a video posted of the issue that I was having, so if you want to see in detail what it is, I suggest go ahead and watch it. But to sum it up, the eye tracking just stopped working like it did from beginning. Like at first when I got Apple Vision Pro, the experience was on another level. I was still missing the joystick. I wish Apple Vision Pro came with joysticks. I probably would have used joystick more, and most probably I would even realize that there was an issue with eyes tracking because I'd be using joystick more. And this way I would say 90% I probably would have kept Apple Vision Pro and not plan on returning as I am. I'm going to probably return it today or tomorrow. So the eye tracking is the reason why I'm returning because everything else about Apple Vision Pro, despite some of the other faults that it has, but those faults weren't big enough for me to say I want to return it, because the winning parts of Apple Vision Pro are just so worth it, despite how insane that price is. Now, Meta Quest 3 utilizes LCD technology, and this is a 2K technology, versus Apple Vision Pro decided not to go with LCD, to go with the higher quality display lenses, and it's a 4K. And this is where Apple Vision Pro wins over Quest 3 by miles. That whole visual experience, it stands out. I could tell the difference between 2K versus 4K. I could tell the difference between versus utilizing lens, LCD technology versus not. Like, both of them have virtual environments. On Meta Quest 3, it just feels not real. It's more animated, but on Apple Vision Pro, they have something called environments, and at this point I think about 6 of them. It feels like I'm there. On top of it, there are sounds within those environments, whether I'm in the desert with the white sands or in the area of the mountains. There's wind present, and because of this spatial sounding coming off of this amazing speakers, it feels like I'm there. And one of the environments has a lake in it, so if it's actually that raining outside in real life, there is raining in that specific environment too, and the sound of the rain just feels so high class. That 4K and the lens display technology definitely wins over Quest 3. But that doesn't mean Quest 3 is that bad. See, I've had Quest 2, and this was a disappointment of a device. I used it for such a short period and I just put it to the side. I actually forgot that. I forgot I had Quest 3, because when I was pairing Quest 3, I saw that application was saying, "Hey, do you want to locate your Quest 2?" Like, it was kind of funny. Like, I forgot I had it. That's despite, that's not even important. So the technology, the pancake lenses, and also in Quest 3 definitely elevates the experience of the visual experience. And 2K is not 4K, but it's not bad. So if I had to rate, for example, Quest 3, let's do 1 to 10, 1 being horrible, 10 being amazing. Quest 2, I'd probably give 2 or 3. Quest 3, I'd probably rate around 8, 8.5, and Vision Pro, definitely a 10. Movies, 2D movies, amazing. Like, I haven't had a need to turn on my expensive OLED television, because it was so satisfying to watch movies in Vision Pro, despite some lens glare that's present there. But when adjusting the environment, the lens glare is becoming less intrusive. But just overall, the whole visual experience is great. 3D experience on Apple Vision Pro. It doesn't look 4K, probably is around 2K quality, but still the best 3D experience at home that I've had. And I've had several 3D devices, even going back to Sony was selling televisions with 3D goggles. Like, amazing. VR experience, I don't think it's there for both devices, just not there. I mean, I did watch a video on Quest 3, and that video was 8K resolution, even though the device itself is 2K. But it looked amazing. Everything looked crisp and sharp. Versus on Apple Vision Pro, when I loaded some of the VR videos, Like the person looked in focus, but everything else on the side was out of focus. Again, I think with time they're probably going to release more upscaled VR experience, so that's software. So as far as visual, Apple Vision Pro definitely wins by a long stretch. Again, it's because if I have to pick both, but because of the issue that I was having with Apple Vision Pro, I've been using Quest 3 more. And yes, I would have loved to have Apple Vision Pro technology as far as the visual experience. I didn't feel like I was lacking a lot. I was still watching movies in great resolution. I watched some 3D movies. It didn't feel the same quality as like on Apple Vision Pro. It was slightly worse, but it was still an enjoyable experience. So, but then again, I'm constantly comparing. One is under $1,000. The other one is over $4,000. There's a big price difference, and is it worth to pay like $3,400 extra just to get that? I wish I could keep both of them if there was no issue with the device. I mean, if I would have gone to Apple today and say, hey, I'm having issue with my device. They were like, okay, we'll exchange it. And you know what? Apple actually recently dropped the price from starting point 35 to 2,000. So your item is going to be around $2,300. Guess what? 1,000%, I would have walked out of the Apple store with replacement. I would love to keep both. But not all is great about Apple Vision Pro. The app support is just not there yet, especially dedicated Apple Vision Pro application. Like Netflix is not there, YouTube is not there. I'm still able to use and get an excellent experience using the Safari. But if I'm gonna go and traveling, I can't download anything on the go, so it's mostly streaming. But the quality is still better than Quest 3 because Netflix on Quest 3 application, from what I was reading, hasn't been updated in years. And it's still sporting a 480p resolution. Same thing with a YouTube VR application. For an example, I was watching Divergent movie on Apple Vision Pro using a Safari browser, which is playing at full HD quality, which is its full quality on YouTube, period, because I tried watching it on other devices, it was still full HD. But watching that specific video on YouTube VR, the highest quality I was getting was 480. Yes, I could use Netflix. I could watch it using browser, but on Quest 3. But then when I looked at the settings, it still said SD quality, so standard definition. But when using YouTube, utilizing the browser, I was able to get the full resolution of that specific movie, which was full HD, and the quality was great. Yes, I could see the difference versus LCD and not an LCD because the blacks on LCD looked washed out, more on a grayish side, versus an Apple Vision Pro that looks pitch black. The whites are so bright on both. I didn't see where one or the other was worse. I believe both are bright. Actually, on both, I reduced the brightness because what I was reading online that it's better to reduce the brightness to get better quality of VR experience. And it's, I'm not missing out. Like, it's still extremely bright enough for my usage. So, like, not enough of application support on Apple Vision Pro, but I have a feeling it's gonna get there. I have a feeling because of how stellar, how amazing the product itself is. I just don't see why developers wouldn't start developing for Apple Vision Pro. It is capable. Yeah, I'm having an issue, but maybe other don't, or maybe the issue that I'm having is just a software related. I don't know at this point, but I'm in the return window period. I just don't want to take the chance. I don't want to take the chance going there and exchanging and getting a new device. And what if I'm going to have the device for 2 weeks and everything's great, and then third week another problem, then I'm out on my own having to deal with $4,100 device that's having issues, or just keep on waiting for software updates. Hopefully things will get better. I just don't want to invest into a maybe, but it is a powerful device and I could feel that it is capable of doing a lot more. And if Apple Vision Pro adds support of a joystick, it would be a huge win for Apple Vision Pro. Because if this failed like it did with me, at least I can rely on a joystick. And honestly, it would be very hard for me to return if the joysticks were there for Apple Vision Pro. Most probably, I would go ahead and exchange it for another device, and be okay with risking that maybe that second device will have an issue, but at least I have joysticks. So far, things seem to be great with Apple Vision Pro, right? It's not. Before I go into some of the negatives, where I think Quest 3 is outshining Apple Vision Pro, I still want to talk about the applications. Right now, there's a limited support with Apple Vision Pro. Now, I believe they announced that when Apple Vision Pro is released, it's going to have the support of iPad catalog, full catalog on the release date. I believe that's what I read. When going into the App Store, there is an Apple Vision Pro section of applications, and then there's iPad/iPhone applications. And comparing to day-to-day use of all the applications that I use on my iPads and iPhone, I was probably able to get about 20 to 30% of those applications on the Apple Vision Pro. But again, like, the support is not there yet because it's such a new device. I don't want to be too harsh judging device because it is so new. It is first generation. Meta had years with their devices, like years. So it would definitely be a big negative for Meta if their device was horrible at this stage. They have history, they have experience to become better, to grow, while Apple is just starting. But what Meta has is Android, meaning the bones of the Meta Quest 3 is Android based. So that means I'm able to sideload applications. And that means I have been able to get most of my applications that I use on my Samsung S24 Ultra into Quest 3. Even though my primary device is iPhone 15 Pro Max, but my secondary device is always Android. And at this point, it is Samsung S24 Ultra. I have a lot of foldables. I think I have 3 foldables. I have plenty of devices. I just like to alternate. That's not what this video is about, but the fact that I've been able to sideload a lot of applications into Quest 3. Where Apple Vision Pro wins is Apple Vision Pro OS. And that's where I believe the winning ticket for Apple is. It's such a free experience. I don't have to create boundaries. I'm able to place those virtual windows anywhere I want, as many as I want, in whatever the sizes I want. I could have one on top of me, I could have one in front of me, I could have one right there, right there. Like all around, there is no limitations. Versus Quest 3, 3. There is a way how to place window in the position that I want it to be, but there are compromises and there are hoops to jump through. So, like, in order for me to use Quest 3 without boundaries, which I could disable in a developer's setting, that means I'm losing pass-through. So that means I have to lift the headset in order not to bang into something. I don't have to have that compromise in Apple Vision Pro. The pass-through sucks on both. Apple Vision Pro is slightly better than Quest 3, but don't believe the hype. Reality, pass-through is horrible on both. But at least it's not black and white like Quest 2. It's actually usable for a basic thing like to go somewhere. It's usable, and I think that's what pass-through is really for, being able to get from one space to another space. It would be nice to have pure visual acuity, like I could see without the goggles on my face. It's not there. It's grainy, it's blurry, it has that wavy effects when looking at things on both. An Apple Vision Pro, when I'm pointing my hand in front of it, it starts shaking. There's like web type of look between my fingers, versus on a Quest 3, it kind of wobbles. But when pushing it further away from me, the wobbling is not there. I can't read what's on my phone on both devices. I could kind of read if I keep it steady, but most of the time I start like moving my phone around in order to be able to see what's on both Apple Vision Pro and Quest 3. Same thing with the watch. Like I try to point it in any direction. Most of the time I ended up having to lift whichever the headset in order to read what's on my Apple Watch. So pass through, nothing to brag about. So that having the freedom of placing those virtual window with no need of boundaries, no limitation of how many windows I want to have open, definitely is a big win for Apple Vision Pro. But it's a software, so my guess is, and from what I'm reading online, I have a feeling that MetaQuest is going to lean same way. Because at this point, there's some things that was introduced in Apple Vision Pro. It's kind of in MetaQuest, like the finger gesture or the spatial video. Now, finger gesture, like it works on Apple Vision Pro, and it actually works like it was intended from beginning. Like when I first started using device, it's not that good on Quest 3. I mostly just use joystick, really. I find this to be the best way to use the VR headset. I would love to have that option on Apple Vision Pro. So that's a software. Where I think Quest 3 shines is in social aspect. To give an example, big screen application. There are public rooms for watching movies or news, discussions, whatever it is. There is that social aspect. And the first time I used, it was like randomly, I opened the application and I see 3D movie in this, 15 people. It's like curious. So when I went inside, it was like brought back the memories. It literally felt like I was in the movie theaters, sitting with a bunch of people. You hear little voices there, and it sounds so good. It sounds like The voices of those people, like when they're talking, it sounds like they're next to you, and the spatial sound, like you're not hearing it from both sides, you know where it's coming from. Like I hear sound from here, I turn and I actually see someone looking at me. Now the persona on um, Apple Vision Pro is definitely better looking than the avatar type of look, but to me, Persona looks great on Apple Vision Pro because I set it up, and when I was setting it up, it looked good. But then, like when I was talking to a friend of mine using FaceTime, and my friend took a screenshot of my Persona, I looked like I was hit by a truck. It looked nothing like what I created and I was looking at. So if I have to compare that and using avatar type of meta avatar, I'd probably go with the meta avatar. At least it's not screwing me up in the way I look like all crooked. Um, but the social aspect is a huge win for Meta Quest 3. I was able to watch a movie with strangers, and it felt like being in the movie theaters. And then the good thing about that is, after the movie was over, we engaged in the chat. It was a bunch of strangers from all over the world. They spoke English. Um, and it was very, very interesting. We just spoke about random adult things, meaning they were grown people, and we spoke about how life is where they were from, how much things were over there versus how it is here. It was such an interesting experience. Completely having a normal discussion with several people spread out all over the world. There were some people from US, there were some people from other parts of the world. It just felt a very different experience. And I think if Apple Vision Pro had that alone too into what they have now, the sell of Quest 3 would just make no sense. Because at this point, I think, because if I'm already investing $4,100 and if I have to choose one of the other, if Apple Vision Pro had the social aspect of it, plus this rich visual experience, and they have to have, like, this has to be, like, it's a must. Um, like, if they had all of that, it would be very hard to justify why I would need Quest 3. Because at this point, I feel like Meta has kind of cornered itself into the gaming centric device, basically, when it's capable of doing a lot of things. I don't care about games, and there are plenty of games. I want the other parts of VR, the social aspect of it, interacting with other people, watching television, movies, and stuff like that, utilizing that bigger display on the go. Like, that's what I'm more interested in. So if Apple perfected the issue with the eye tracking, or have ability of using this, if they price drop, if they drop the price, I think it would be a very hard sell for Quest 3. Because also the another negative part about Quest 3 is the battery. Somehow every time I charge it fully and then I'm using it, and it doesn't take long, where I keep hearing sounds. I'm like, where's the sound coming from? At least with Apple Vision Pro, when the battery is running below 20, I get a notification right on the screen. But in here, all I'm getting is sound, and that sound could be from anywhere. I literally know that I'm out of the battery because it dies. It literally turns off on me in the middle. Like, there's no notification. I don't know if maybe it's something that I could enable. At this point, it's just the sound. It dies really quick. But I don't mind plugging it in over here. I This is a third-party case that the headset. I'll go over that in a bit. But I don't mind plugging it in because I don't have to deal with an external battery. But that's also a plus, because I am getting about two and a half hours of usage with Apple Vision Pro, but I'm definitely expecting more for $4,100. Two and a half is not enough. That means I need to carry a power bank with me like I need to with Quest 3. So I'm not really winning there. But I'm also saving a lot with Quest 3, so I don't mind being plugged in here and there. I have a 28,000 milliamp super fast charging power bank from Anker. It was expensive, but at least I'm using it. So yeah, the battery is worse on Quest 3. I can't really tell you how long I'm getting out of the battery. All I know is that I put it on, it doesn't take that long to get those sounds coming through. So my guess would be around 40 minutes to an hour on average. It also depends on what I'm doing. But the winning aspect of it right now at this state, there is more support for Quest Meta 3. There's more social aspect of it. There's just more, it doesn't feel so alone. Apple Vision Pro feels so lonely, feels so isolated. There is no one to share that experience with. It's just me doing alone things. And like even when I have like people coming over, oh, can I see what you're doing? It's set up to my tracking. I can't do that. So I could enable guest mode, but it's not the same experience as I'm getting. And yet again, it's still one person at a time. There is no social aspect. And I think this is the biggest door that Apple has now. Invest in social aspect of this headset. We need that world where people can interact. We need that space, maybe utilize whatever the Apple gadgets they are, because Apple is very big, kind of including all devices and one continuous experience. Maybe incorporate where people with iPhones can interact, not only utilizing like FaceTime, but actual interaction with people who are wearing Apple Vision Pro or utilizing like the iPad or using a MacBook Pro, obviously compatible devices that are powerful enough. Or maybe create a headset that you could put on and plug into those devices too and create different VR experience. I'm just guessing at this point. But I think Apple has that window now to start pushing that whole social aspect. It's the biggest thing that's missing in Apple Vision Pro. Despite it being so amazing with visual quality and things like that, I still end up turning to Quest 3 because I want to be with other people, enjoying things, discussing, having an input, and having like, wow, watching scary movie. Like, I can't do that with Apple Vision Pro. I'm paying $4,100 to be isolated at this point. So, and like I said, if I did not have that issue with the eye tracking, and because that affects also my hand tracking, and it becomes kind of useless of a device without having ability of using a joystick, I have no reason to keep Apple Vision Pro. And if that wasn't the case, I probably just end up keeping it despite the crazy price tag of $4,100, because if I want that rich experience of watching a movie, Apple Vision Pro. And I feel that there's going to be a very interesting future for Apple Vision Pro just because it's so capable, despite the other negatives that it has. Because Quest 3 has negatives too. I wish two of them would combine in one and that would be just amazing device. But competition is what brings interest. It drives companies to compete one another. And because there's a big, expensive kid on the block, it's also kind of going to push Facebook, Meta, to further develop Quest 3. And based on what I'm reading online, the next update, I think it's called V.63 or something like that, it's going to bring very interesting updates Like I said, there's the hand gestures, there's spatial video already in Quest 3 that generally was more associated with Apple Vision Pro. So the room there to grow is definitely there. So like I said, at this point, social aspect is there. Ability to sideload whatever application that I'm using on my Android phone, I can. I can't sideload any application on Apple Vision Pro. And based on the history of Apple, as far as the jailbreaking and sideloading, I know they don't like that and generally look for ways how to prevent that. So have a feeling you get what you get with Apple Vision Pro. For computer use, those who are looking to get a VR headset to use it with computer first, Apple Vision Pro is heavy. There's definitely tension in the back of the neck that I feel after about half an hour use. Also, like when I did pair it with my MacBook Pro 16-inch M3, it's only one window. And the clarity actually I wasn't impressed by it. It didn't feel 4K. It was kind of off. Again, one window. It wasn't bad, but it didn't match the experience that I was having, like let's say watching something that was particularly designed for Apple Vision Pro. But with Quest 3, I really can use my Mac. I could utilize, there is virtual desktop application that allows multiple windows use, but I wasn't happy with virtual desktop and it cost money. So I ended up refunding that and I downloaded Immersed. And Immersed, yes, the quality is slightly better on virtual desktop, but Immersed is actually really good too. And it kind of gives me that the same experience that I get with Apple Vision Pro, having those multiple windows, placing them where I wanted that. So there is a way of kind of getting what I love about Apple Vision Pro on Quest 3 by utilizing Immersed, by connecting it to my computer. Obviously, that's sort of the limitation, constantly being at home, but I don't see myself going with those devices out on the street. I'm gonna be probably using these devices mostly at home, or I'll take with me on the go. Because like I went to Egypt back in September, I brought my Android devices because I read online that eSIM wasn't supported in Egypt, which is not true. Like I'm talking about, like I could have easily used my T-Mobile in Egypt because that's what I ended up doing anyway, even if I had an eSIM device iPhone. But the fact that I brought the Rocket AR with me, with my phone, with my, at that point, Galaxy Fold 5. At this point, I have Galaxy Fold 5, Pixel Fold, and OnePlus Open. So I could literally plug in the Rocket AR glasses and just watch movies on the go, but it would be great not to be connected to the wire, to a phone, to maneuver it by using a phone when I could just use a headset. So for traveling, it would be great. What I want to talk about briefly is accessories. And I want to start with this, like, Apple what? This? This thing is amazing. I actually ended up ordering 3D printed pieces for Quest 3 so I could attach this head strap to that. I'm gonna end up having to buy this from Apple Vision Pro. It's amazing. This head strap is spot on. There's no competition. But at this point, this came with Quest 3. Uncomfortable, hurts my head. I ended up buying this first. Very comfortable. This is the back of it. I could literally move down the front piece of the VR itself, and then it's cushioned over here. 17 bucks. 100 bucks. I think, if I'm not wrong, this is also 100 bucks. This sucks for Apple Vision Pro for my use. This is uncomfortable. Then I ended up buying this for Quest 3. I think I paid around 25 bucks. This is not a battery version. I do not like the idea of having a battery on the back of my head. Just not something I want to do. So this is just the regular, but it's very comfortable. Again, I'm able to move the headset, place it the way I want. I could even remove this shields over here and just use it without that being in the way. The accessories are there. They're cheaper for Quest 3. So it's like screaming, I'm saving money. There is one negative thing that I think something to consider. Because Quest 3 is so affordable, that means if a kid says, Mommy, Daddy, I want a VR headset, I doubt that Mommy and Daddy is going to go out and buy Apple Vision Pro for their kid. They're probably going to go for this. So that means there were times while I was sitting in the movie theater, the VR movie theater, with a bunch of other people watching that movie, and occasionally you had kids jumping into those rooms acting like kids. Obviously, the moderator of that specific public room kicked them out because you know you got to be quiet there, and it says 18 plus and over or whatever. But there are definitely going to be instances of kids jumping in because a lot of kids are using Quest 3. Also, a lot of public chats, something to consider. There's kids there too. So, knowing that Apple Vision Pro costs about, I paid $4,100, I probably think if Apple goes into the whole social, it's probably going to be mostly adults. So, that's definitely a plus. So I think I said enough at this point. If I did miss something or if you want to ask about this, something, please comment below. If you want to add something from your experience, comment below. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, hopefully Apple does bring this product down. I'm secretly hoping when I go to Apple Store to return my Apple Vision Pro, they'll like, oh hey, Apple just dropped it to $2,500. One can only hope, right? Thanks for watching. Bye.